What's going on, guys? I'm sitting here with my man Scott Edgemont. How's it going, dude?
It's going great. How we doing, Greg?
Pretty well. So we actually got to hang out in New York, which is really cool, at that NYC meetup.
Yeah, that was your first one, right? For the meetup groups?
Yeah, that was the first. That was my first ever meetup, and it was actually turned out to be like a pretty big success. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. We doing the muscle ups. You showed me how to do one of those. That was fun.
Yeah.
And just doing all those pull ups, and yeah, the group was great.
Right. And so actually, I wanted to ask you because you're active in Project B Trips. You did the aggressive fat loss course in about 3 months, 12 weeks. You dropped from about 18% body fat down to 10% or less. So you went through a really awesome transformation. And your lifts went up quite a bit. Like I have the stats, but you added like considerable strength throughout the process. So I want to talk about your experiences with the program and how you're able to achieve such awesome results.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So first things first, like why did you decide to do the aggressive fat loss program?
Well, basically, I started it the day after Easter because I guess going from Halloween of last year till Easter, I just got off track, was eating whatever I wanted to, kind of was still working out, but not following, your stuff yet. And then I said, all right, I just got to a point where this is not looking good. Summer's still a few months off, and I got time, and this is going to be the year that I really want to get a real visible change. So, I saw you had updated your aggressive fat loss program to, I guess, the 2.0.
Yeah, the 2.0, yeah.
So I think I had purchased your other one probably back in the fall, and didn't quite get there yet. And then I said, all right, let's see what this is all about. Let's do this one. And we did. It was going to work well.
And so what I loved about your transformation was that you talked about how the cut wasn't that hard. Every day you got to enjoy your cookies or ice cream or something. Yep. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's once you get your whole mind wrapped around the fact that you really got to watch your calories and see what goes into different things. And before I was doing this, I didn't know how many calories was in a cup of ice cream or what 6 ounces of chicken looked like. So everything was blind. So I started just measuring things out, and I was like, okay, so this is a portion size that I can eat. And when you combine the intermittent fasting, it really wasn't that bad. First couple of days, a lot of getting used to it and whatnot. But once I got on board, it really wasn't that bad because you weren't cutting anything out, like you always say.
Right. So then I was going to ask you actually, a few questions, and one of which is like, what was your experiences with dieting in the past? Because most people, when they go on a program of mine, they've done it. They've done a diet before. They've done a workout routine before. So what was your experiences like in the past? What were you doing in the past? And then how did that compare to, doing the Kinobody stuff and aggressive fat loss?
Yeah, so in the past, what I would do is I'd say, all right, I'm gonna eat good during the week, good in quotes, and then the weekends would come, and it was like all bets are off. I'd go out, favorite restaurant, and then like in hindsight, now knowing what's in certain things, I was probably taking in 6,000 calories on a Saturday alone.
Yeah. And you're just spinning your wheels. You're going through pain
right.
Monday to Friday,
right.
And then Saturday, Sunday, you're just undoing all that progress. And that's a vicious cycle that most people get caught into. And actually, most diet advice, that's what they're promoting. Be strict those 5 days or 6 days, and then hell breaks loose on the 7th day. But most times when people do that, they make it 3-4 days. I'm like, oh, enough of this crap. I just want a Haagen-Dazs bar. And they eat like 4.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I think a lot of those folks, do the whole, let's try to cut out carbs completely. Let's get rid of all the good fun foods in our lives, and then it gets really unsustainable.
Right.
And with this program of yours, you got to eat whatever you wanted as long as you were getting a good amount of protein and not going over your calories and staying in the deficit. So that's really, when I would look forward to the different meals. The fasting thing, that's easy enough. I didn't get hungry. I started drinking coffee. I never was a coffee drinker until, got on this program. So that would, get me through to the afternoon. And you have a nice little lunch, and then I'd have the big meal, later, and always would save room for the cookies and ice cream.
There you go.
Pretty much every single night during those 3 months.
Well, good. So my main message, and you probably are well aware of this, is like, if you're on a diet to get lean, you want to learn to be able to enjoy each and every day to your goal physique. Once you can crack that code, getting ripped is super easy, but most people pride themselves on how tough their diet and training program is. Oh, it's so hard, like no carbs, no this, eat every 2 hours. It's intense, and it's like, dude, that's fine, but why? Like, why make it 10 times harder than it needs to be?
It's
about the progress. It's about every week, you're seeing that pound and a half, whatever it was, off the scale. Your waist is coming down. Your strength is there. That's what people should be focused on, not on how crazy their diet and training sounds. So it's good that, it's funny, when you do these different tips and stuff with the coffee and whatnot, it's really easy to fast till the afternoon. It's not hard at all.
No, it's really not. It just you get used to it, and I really didn't have any crazy cravings on this whole time. I mean, maybe like once or twice in 3 months, and it was because I was having real things during the week. I was having plenty of good foods, steaks and chickens and plenty of sauces, barbecue sauce, whatever you want. I was just taking the time to measure out everything and weigh it on one of those little food scales. And
yeah, that's the initial step people really need to do. But once they've done that for a couple of weeks and they're used to making certain meals, then you can just eyeball it. I was trying to find my chocolate bar wrapper. It's right here. 1 second. So right now, I'm doing modified aggressive fat loss because I'm just trying to see how shredded I can get. And so it's 10:56. I just had my green and blacks, chocolate almond bar, 575 calories. And I fit this stuff in there. And for me, what I'm doing right now is I'm doing sort of a modified aggressive fat loss thing where basically maybe 3 days a week I'll be in that aggressive deficit. And it's so easy for me. It's not even hard. It's so easy. And I love those days because you don't have to worry about all the eating and stuff. Then, on other days, I'll hit 2,800 calories, 3,000, and I'll go higher. And so I'm kind of doing the Greek God style recomp. Yeah. But just to kind of slowly get myself ready and to get into a surplus. And it's been working well. I've been lean. I've actually been kind of staying around, dropping fat slowly. But so that's all. So it's sweet that, you had to go through that stage of tracking your calories, figuring this out. And I think a lot of people, they say oh, skipping breakfast, that's so extreme. Eating the 2 or 3 meals a day is so extreme. It's well, having to eat tiny meals to me is what is extreme. Having to live your life by the clock and eating every 2-3 hours out of Tupperware, that's extreme. Actually just waking up, drinking coffee, feeling amazing, and going about your day and then slamming amazing meals, that's amazing.
That's right.
that's
I mean, you can look forward to the foods. If you're having a couple of meals, I was having a good dinner, a smaller lunch, and then the nice dessert that I said, and maybe one other snack, and I was doing 1,700 calories a day.
Yeah.
And then like you were saying, have a bit of a refeed day of an extra 600 calories, and it just helps you out. It helps you take in that extra little burst, and you're totally satisfied.
Right.
Staying.
Okay. Oh, I'm getting a bit of an echo here. Okay, that should be fine now. That's very, very cool stuff. Were there any roadblocks, because you leaned down a lot, dropped 16 pounds of fat. Were there any mental or psychological or roadblocks along the way where it's shit, it's been 2 weeks, I haven't lost any weight, or damn it, I can't stick to this 1,700 calories, it's too hard, I just want to eat it more? Do you have any of those kind of issues during the 12 weeks?
The only thing was, I'd say, towards the end of the program, probably in I don't know, maybe the 10th week, I didn't lose any weight in there. And I was all right, I thought I was in a pretty good deficit. Now I stalled out. But, so I actually ended up eating a little bit more. And then I cut down a little bit, and then I started losing again. So it just, you're going to get those periods where you're not going to constantly lose every single week.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point to make. And so, you're on 1,700 calories. What are your stats? Like, you went from 174 to, or 158 or so.
Yeah, right around there. Yeah.
Around there. And so, 1,700 calories, that's a low intake. It's about an aggressive deficit. Some people like to do an extreme deficit, which would be like 1,200, 1,400, which is just ridiculous. It's brutal. You can't enjoy that no matter what you're doing.
Right, yeah. Because I noticed there was a couple of days in there where I would try to do even less, like, 1,500 or 1,600, and I would notice that was way too low.
It was way too low. Having even just like the difference between 1,500 and 1,700 calories, 200 calories isn't that much. Like, if you were to average a 200 calorie increased deficit over 7 days, that wouldn't even equal half a pound of fat. It actually would be a lot less than half a pound of fat, because when you go into extreme deficit, that's when the risk of muscle loss is greater, where your body can only actualize a certain amount of fat per day. So if you're in like a 700 calorie deficit and you're training properly, getting enough protein, you could probably lose all of it as fat if you're doing it correctly. But then when you go into like a 900, 1,000 calorie deficit, that extra deficit doesn't translate to a lot of fat loss. Actually, that's when you start to sacrifice muscle. And it's like you're working so much harder to lose more muscle. It's crazy.
Right.
And so the 1,500, 1,700 doesn't sound like a lot, but the difference is night and day. You don't want to go too low. Now, like, the one point I wanted to make was that if you're already on a low-calorie diet, if you're already in an aggressive diet and you hit a roadblock, the last thing you want to do is go lower. Because everyone's like, oh my God, I'm on 1,600 calories a day. I'm not losing weight. I need to go do 1,400. It's like, no. If you're not losing weight on 1,600 calories, that's the issue. The issue is that you're not losing weight on 1,600 calories. You need to work on getting that maintenance up, getting your body functioning properly. So going lower will just exacerbate the problem. What I would say is, look, okay, and here's an interesting note that I'd really like to make, is that what I found from all my research, working with tons of people, is that the people that lean down the best, they actually feel satisfied on their diet, which sounds kind of paradoxical, right? Because you'd think like, oh, the more hungry someone is on a diet, the more they're going to lose. It doesn't really work like that in the real world. What you see happen is someone that feels really satisfied and fulfilled on their diet, they lean down no problem. Then when someone starts to have all these cravings and like they're exercising all this willpower to stick to it, that's when they are at a roadblock. And so what I actually would recommend someone do if they hit that point, I'd be like, look, let's try and add calories into your diet. Find a point where you feel totally satisfied and full. Maybe you go from 1,700 to 1,900, or maybe it's 1,700 to 1,800, or maybe it's 1,700 to 2,200. Find that point where you're truly satisfied. Stay there for a few days. Allow your body to kind of relax, give yourself more food, and then see what happens. And then, if you're, and then maybe you start to lose weight at a higher calorie intake. It happens all the time. Or maybe you need to do what, maybe you did, and just take a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and just hit your maintenance. And then go back to a diet. But it's a really important point. I want to do more videos on this subject, because most people, they're like, oh, I'm not losing weight on 1,800, let's time to do 1,600. It's like, okay, no. But usually, sorry, I'm like rambling on for a second. This is the podcast about you. Well, this is an important point. But usually when people are like, yeah, I can't lose weight on 1,500 calories, also it's because they can't stick to it. It's not sustainable. They go higher. But yeah, that's all I want to say. Yeah.
I mean, I took even like 5 days that I went on vacation during this time period. It was probably around like week 8 or 9. And, stuck to the fasting on the vacation, but, the calories were way up. And still, obviously came home, it was a little heavier, went back on, was even lower than I was before the trip.
Yeah, in a few days or something,
right.
Eh?
Yeah, exactly. So, sometimes you have to, take a little step back, to make more progress, and that was definitely true there.
That's perfectly said. So we kind of talked quite a bit about about the nutrition stuff and sticking to the program, and there weren't really any roadblocks. I've done a few extensive, I've talked about the mindset in the program. Did you end up having to use any of that stuff, or you just really didn't need it, just sticking to the diet was effortless?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of made up my mind at the beginning that I was going to do it, and I had done intermittent fasting before, and I liked it, so I was like, all right, I can do this, just fine. So that really wasn't an issue at all. I think one of the things was changing the workouts, to go from cutting down the crazy volume and excessive cardio that I had been doing in the past, and beating myself up day in and day out, and making no progress, to like doing the slow paced workouts, a lot of rest in between sets, building strength. So that was that took a little bit to get used to. I said, what were we doing on that program? Like 3 working sets or 2 working sets in some exercises?
Yeah, 2 or 3, man. So actually, I did a little Snapchat. My Snapchat's GOG9, and I did a little Snapchat before we got on the call. I was like, hey guys, I'm doing this podcast with Scott. He went from 18% to 10%, gained strength in 3 months. What questions do you have? And a lot of people were like, hey, how was it going from working out 5-6 days a week to going down to working out 3 days a week with less volume? Was it hard to make that shift? Like, were you scared, like, oh my god, I'm only working out 3 days a week, I'm gonna get fat, or I'm gonna lose muscle? Did you deal with any of that trepidation?
Well, what I did was, like your program where you say, keep active on those other days, throw in some cardio and abs, if you want. So I did that on the off days. So I still was doing something 6 days a week, but it was the 3 days of the weights, and then it was some light cardio and the abs on the other 3 days, just to maintain that nice deficit. So that I felt the fitness level staying where I wanted it to stay. I was staying active, but I wasn't doing the excessive amounts of cardio and with all the crazy jumping around stuff that I used to do.
Okay.
So you just kind of you just get into it after a few weeks of seeing the tracking the workouts, seeing the strength go up. It was all very fulfilling. So you just want to continue doing that because you see that it's working. Quickly. I saw my waist was going down pretty fast. I had to go buy a whole bunch of new pants. The things they were enormous after a while. So that was definitely a cool little problem to have.
Yeah. So then, just kind of shifting gears a bit, what has been the most powerful thing? How has your life improved since following the aggressive fat loss program? Has there been anything that you've noticed that's changed in your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people that hadn't seen me in a while. It was nice that they came up to me and they're like, "Wow, what did you just do in the past couple of months? You're looking great. You're looking really fit. It was very visible, and that's just wearing regular clothes. It's not even with the shirt off. So they could see it in my face, and even if I had a short sleeve shirt, they could see it in my forearms. And so I mean, it just kind of gave me more motivation to continue and stick with it, and not blow the whole thing.
Okay, sweet, man. Well, I mean, we covered a lot. Are there for someone that's just about to start the aggressive fat loss program, or they're not sure if it's for them? Do you have any advice as far as that?
I would say, if you're going to do this program, you got to do the whole counting the calories, and you got to measure the food. And I've talked to other people about it, and every time I bring that up, they shy away from it. They're like, "Oh, I could never do that. I can't stick to anything like that." And I'm like, "Well, you can. You got apps on the phone. You can find out how many calories are in something. You can get a cheap food scale, weigh the food out. This is people do. If it was incredibly easy and no work was necessary, everybody'd be ripped."
Right. Yeah. No, I mean that's a great point. And it's really easy today, especially in the States, in New York. It's the calories are everywhere. I mean, Canada too, but at restaurants you see it everywhere. And you go, and so the thing is what people might want to focus on doing. This is probably what you did for a while. Is you're only eating a couple meals a day. 2-3 meals a day. Okay. So you don't have to track constantly. It's not every 2 hours. It's and then just find a few different meals you like to cook, or a few different meals that the calories where if you want to eat out, you can eat out, and calculate those. And then you only have to calculate them once. Then you can just kind of eyeball it, or if you have to weigh it, then weigh it. But just get used to doing that for the first couple of weeks. Then if you want to substitute in new meals, substitute new meals. You do this for a long time, you get used to it, and then it's okay, I'm eating out dinner with my friends, and then you can just eyeball it, and just because sometimes because what I actually recommend is tracking everything for the first few weeks. Then once you got those meals dialed in, just eyeballing it, and then if you're gonna have new meals, track those. But then once in a while, you can basically track some of your meals each day, and then eyeball another meal, and then eventually eyeball everything, and it works. But Yeah, in the very beginning, it's so important to track it, and it's not hard at all. Like it makes such a difference.
Yeah, it makes such a difference. And, it was even going out to, I would go out to lunch a lot at work and, I'd be getting different salads and, be like, okay, this is, probably, 4 or 5 ounces of chicken. I got a little bit of cheese in here, whatnot. It's like a couple tablespoons of dressing. And then you just, you can estimate it. You get an idea of what these things look like. You start seeing what does a tablespoon of dressing look like, and what is an ounce or two, or what does that amount of chicken look like, and you keep doing it like that, and you'll know if you're like overly full at a meal, like too full, then you ate too much, and you got to lighten up later on in the day.
Right, and actually one of the best things about tracking your calories is the fact that you learn what fills you up and what satisfies you and what doesn't. So, I started to cut out stuff like rice, which doesn't fill me up. I eat more potatoes and pop chips for carbs. I like chocolate for dessert because chocolate, I'll be satisfied after eating it. For me, if I have like other desserts and stuff, I'll just want to eat more. And then I love Chipotle because I eat Chipotle and I'm full for a long time. So tracking your calories, you find out what foods truly allow you to hit that deficit and what foods make you want to eat more or make you hungry. And learning that alone is super valuable.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was the potatoes that were, they were definitely filling, and very enjoyable. Cooking them up different ways. Getting away from a lot of the breads because that definitely just wants you to eat. You just want to eat more and more and more bread. And it's so easy to do that. But potatoes fill you up. A little bit of coconut oil on it.
Yeah. Well, here let's talk about your favorite big main meal and your favorite small meal on the program.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Let's see. I did so many different things because I like to cook a lot, so I make all these fancy things. But there was even if it was like a lean burger, for instance, and I put it on like a light English muffin, with some low-fat cheese. I used a lot of like low-fat and fat-free cheese on this diet.
So awesome! It's so filling too. Yeah.
Yeah, it tasted great. It's not bad calories at all. A lot of salads for lunch. Some days I would do like the protein shakes, something like that. If I wanted to emphasize protein earlier in the day, so I know I could have more carbs later. There was definitely there was some planning involved in this thing. If you knew you were going out, with friends for dinner, sometimes I would go really light, for the first meal. So you can do that. You can really, you can play with it a little bit and make it fit your actual, day. And not every day is going to be the same. And, because real things come up, different things. Right. So, you just got to kind of get an idea of, if you know you're going to be out later on, then go real light, for the first meal.
And it's cool. The longer you've been on the aggressive fat loss program, the more you know your body and the more you know what you can get away with and what you can include and whatnot. Because I've been doing this style of eating for a while. And so I can go travel for a week, eat out every single meal, and hit that whatever deficit I need to hit. Like I was in LA for 8 days, and I came back like, pound and a half, 2 pounds leaner. And it's because you kind of figure things out, and so that's really cool. But anyways, guys, for people listening, if you want to check out the program that Scott was following, that's at kinobody.com/AFL. That's aggressive fat loss. And you're pretty active in the Project Beach Trip group. Is that right? Or...
Well, more on the Instagram is
more on Instagram, okay? Because you're not on the Facebook, are you?
No.
Okay, you're not. So Scott's not in the Project Beach group. I was wondering about that because I was trying to hit him up on Facebook. I'm like, I can't find him.
No.
You're more in the Instagram kind of thing. Yeah.
So okay. I'm on there, but it's a great program. You have all the stuff works. The key lifts are a lot of fun to do. It's great to go from especially like the weighted chin-ups. That was fun to go from like 35 pounds to I think I'm over 65 pounds now. So when you start seeing your strength build up, you just want to keep going.
Oh yeah, no, totally, exactly. All right, well, yeah, thank you so much for doing the podcast with me, man. And I think, is there anything else you want to say before we completely wrap up the episode?
No, I think that's good. I think we covered a lot.
All right, thanks so much. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. You can check out the aggressive fat loss program at kinobody.com/AFL. And if you guys want to see the transformation that Scott did, well, it should be on the video in the thumbnail. So he really leaned down, built a lot of strength, Actually, I'll pull up your stats right here. I have them on Facebook. Apparently I'm like 50 years old and I use Facebook still. No one else does, so I have to. You're okay. Here we go. Just scrolling through here. Okay, and boom, there you are. So you actually went from 174 to 158. Your chin-ups went from 35 pounds to 60 pounds. That's a lot. You went from, like, your barbell curls went up 25 pounds. And you went from incline double pressing 65-pound dumbbells to 85-pound dumbbells. That's 40 pounds per side while losing 16 pounds. That's incredible. And you went from doing 0 pistol squats to 5 pistol squats. So people talk about the fact that they're like, oh, you can't gain strength and muscle while you're on a diet. Well, this is literally proof to the contrary, proof that you can gain a lot of strength even when you're past the beginner stages, and you can do it while dropping a lot of fat. So amazing.
Very good. Well,
Yep.
it was
Are you real, Scott, or did I hire you?
No, I was actually real.
No, he's a real dude. Yeah, he's a real dude. You're in
and
the NYC meetup video, actually.
Yeah, that's right. And that was probably maybe when I was on week 7 or so of the program.
Yeah, like the halfway mark. Yeah.
It was around there. I remember I was asking you, how am I going to get to under 160 at that point? And you gave me some good tips, live, and worked. So
there we go. All right. Well, thanks again, dude, and I will talk to you soon.
Very good. Thanks, man. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Really hope you enjoyed that video. I have a ton of people that want to come on the podcast and talk about their transformations. So if you like these videos, let me know, and I'll do a lot more of them. Maybe you want to see a Greek god transformation or aggressive fat loss or warrior shred. Let me know what you want to see, so I can do more of these if you enjoy them. And if you want to follow the program that Scott was doing, it's at kinobody.com/AFL, or hit the link right here. He loved the program. Everyone I get literally so many transformations from this program. There's actually a Facebook group for it called Project Beach Ripped, and every day there's someone posting like something about how amazing it's going. Whether it's a transformation picture or, hey, just slammed this 1,200 calorie meal, I'm so full, dieting's never been this easy. One of those, but it's very cool stuff. So if you want to check it out, check it out. And thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the episode, subscribe, and share your comments. Bye-bye.